Yes, good morning. It is that time of the week again, another fitness fragrance review, and I'm really looking forward to doing this one. My brother's currently in the shower, if you can hear that sort of whirring noise, and I've nicked another one of his fragrances he's recently bought. It's actually in a very plasticky bottle. You can literally squidge the bottle. I think you're going to know what this is a clone of. This is called 1 Billion by Fragrance Kingdom. It sounds like a clone of Paco Rabanne's 1 Million, and just judging by, obviously, I've just sprayed it, it's exactly that. It is definitely a clone of Paco Rabanne 1 Million. Now, it calls itself a fragrance mist here at the bottom, but it does spray very much like a fragrance, like a lush body spray. It seems like a lot of these mists now, these body sprays are not so pressurised like a gas anymore. They're more like a watery liquid, which I'm very much a fan of, because when you get a bottle this size, 250ml, means you can spray a little bit more of it. So if you haven't seen a fitness fragrance review before, essentially I'm going to do a morning workout. So I'm going to go for a run, walk to the gym, do a gym workout, walk back, all while wearing this. So yeah, really looking forward to trying this one today. There's been loads of clones of Paco Rabanne's 1 Million out there, but I can't think of many this big and this size as well. So yeah, going to be very interesting, a very iconic scent. It's one that's, I'd probably say, divided opinion so much over recent years anyway. It doesn't feel like as many people are wearing it now. Dior Sauvage seems to have taken over in terms of that sort of popular statement type fragrance for compliments. Just everyday use is a bit more versatile. This one, a little bit more sort of a date night cinnamon type scent. So yeah, we're going to quickly go through the note breakdown and yeah, I'll give my overall thoughts so far. So, note breakdown. Normally I have a huge screenshot at this point and I show you everything that's in it. But because there's so many clones of this fragrance using exactly the same name, it's impossible to really find it. Honestly, I've been looking for the last 10 minutes. But essentially, as you know, and I did find a couple, there's 3 notes they really do talk about. They talk about rose, which isn't really that prominent in 1 Million or this clone 1 Million. Cinnamon, which again has that spice. It's that real... It's such a familiar DNA. You would have smelt 1 Million, even if you haven't particularly noticed it before, you would do. And it's the spice that comes from it is that cinnamon. And then there's amber. And amber's kind of, it's not a specific note, but it's an accord. It's about 3 or 4 notes put together to create this aroma. Essentially, it's kind of like a sweet caramel, vanillic gourmand type scent, which is in so many fragrances. If you look in most fragrances, amber complements that vanilla, tonka bean, all those ones, they all seem to be grouped together in the dry down, and that's really what this is. It's a very straight up, exactly the same sort of smell as the original 1 Million, as are all these clones. As I said, it's very interesting. Like Dior Sauvage has got Savage, which I reviewed the other day. 3 or 4 brands have called themselves Savage, copied the bottle, and that makes it quite difficult to know which one you're actually buying. A lot of these are, yeah, they're everywhere. You can look, honestly, everywhere and anywhere. eBay, Amazon, and you can just get so many clones, and this is exactly the same with this one here. But what we're going to do, we're going to head out for a run now. We're going to do the first 2 categories on my runs. We're going to look at price/value for money and also its versatility. So yeah, let's get out there. Another workout begins. I have to say, my legs are aching a bit today. No idea why. It's not like I don't normally run. But anyway, stop moaning, Harry. I need this 1 Billion fragrance to help get me through this workout. And we're going to start with the first category, which is price/value for money. And again, touching on what I said earlier, there are so many 1 Billion clone fragrances of Paco Rabanne 1 Million here. It's very hard to find that exact one that I've got. Even when you search the brand, it comes up with loads of different options. But the sort of general online price for this is around that sort of £8 to £12 range. So sort of £10 is probably your average price you're paying for this. Now, do I think that's good value for money? Well, it's a little bit like Savage for me, the Dior Sauvage clones that I saw. It's got the scent DNA. It's definitely got that. It's not as strong. It's nowhere near as strong as the original. But it is very similar. You know, if you're smelling it up close, you're talking 95, 100% strong. But where it falls down, I know we'll touch on this later, is you can barely smell it. It is so watered down. I think I used the analogy yesterday where it's almost like you've dropped the original fragrance in a bath of running water and then you've tried to scoop it up with a jug and it's just so watered down that you barely notice it. And that's what it feels like here. I mean, again, I'm only sort of 5-10 minutes into the run, and unless I'm literally digging my nose into my arm, it's not really there at all. Now, I don't think in terms of what I'm doing this morning, doing a workout, that's a bad thing, but if you're someone who wants this scent DNA, you're going to be a bit underwhelmed. And again, it's almost for me going to be one of those where it can't replace 1 Million. it can only be used as a top up, maybe just to throw in your gym bag. But with a bottle size this, 250ml, you probably wouldn't want to do that. But you can get this in smaller travel sizes, I think 10, 15, 20ml sizes. So what would I say overall? Well, there are, again, as we said, there are so many clones out there of this one, and I've had a few. I had one called Callum Best Gold, I believe, years ago, and that was just around this same price range. There was some from L'Oreal called L'Oreal H or L'Oreal Hin, and they were that 1 million smell. And maybe they were a bit more synthetic smelling than this one because they weren't as watered down, but they did smell just like 1 million with extra performance. So while I think if this was the only clone again and it's of 1 million, I'd say, yeah, that's not too bad. But there's so many out there, and there are stronger ones, and it's an original fragrance that's quite synthetic anyway. So I don't think this one does anything that's better than some of them, literally millions of clones that are out there. So I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10 for that reason. Very tame. I'm not sure it's going to help me much during my workout this morning, or certainly get me through 2 or 3 hours if I was at work or anything. On to versatility then for 1 billion by Fragrance Kingdom. How much can you dress this one up, dress this one down? Different ages, different occasions, different seasons, all those things. Well, when I think of that 1 million DNA, I think it's got a very set genre of person, a very set group of people which it appealed to. And when I was sort of at university time, you had things like these freshers weeks where everyone would basically sort of meet up with people, try and get to know people on their course, essentially go clubbing, go drinking. And that's what I think this is for. 18 to 21 year olds, night outs, date nights, those sorts of things, where you're trying to be a bit brash and you're quite a confident character essentially. This isn't one for a shy person. That cinnamon's quite prominent, and in this fragrance, while it's tamed down a bit, you can certainly detect that cinnamon and amber combination very well. And yeah, I've never smelled an older gentleman wear this one. It is very much youthful, it's quite synthetic, and because it is essentially just a sweet fragrance, you're going to be wearing this one on night out in the winter time rather than anything on a summer occasion. It's too heavy. I don't think you'd want to wear it for a job interview. It's not serious enough. It's meant to be a bit playful, and that's why it's been so successful. Younger people all liked it. They got good attention with it, and you know what younger people are like. When one person has it, the other person copies them. And yeah, it's perfect for that. But summertime, daytime, any sort of sophisticated event, suit and tie, I still wouldn't go for this one. I wouldn't wear it casually either. So you're still essentially going to want another fragrance to complement this. And again, as we touched upon earlier with this fragrance in particular, 1 million, if you still had the 1 million fragrance, you'd want that, you want that DNA. I'd still get the original because of the extra performance, and this would just be in my bag as a top up. So for that reason, this one lacks versatility, because the one thing that is so good with it being a night out fragrance is its strength. And that doesn't even have this to really cut through that crowd in a clubbing environment. So I'm going to have to mark this one down quite a bit here. I'm going to go 4 out of 10. If it had extra performance, which we'll obviously touch on next projection when I get back from my run, I probably would have given it more. But even if it was super strong in your face, I'd still want a fresher or a higher quality scent to be my signature scent in those hotter weather days and office environments. So yeah, unfortunately a low score for this round. So workout done, it is now time to test for projection. So I'm going to spray my room 10 times with 1 billion. So essentially what I'm trying to do here is see how much the fragrance fills up a room. So if a colleague, if this was an office, came in, family member, a friend, how much would they notice the fragrance if they walked in? It's just basically going to 9:15. I'm going to spray my arm 3 times with this, and this will be the test for longevity. So it'll be about 3 hours till I leave the gym. I won't apply the fragrance again. Obviously I've got to walk down there, do my workout, have a shower, and we'll just see after those 3 hours how much I can still notice the fragrance. But what we're going to do, we're going to head downstairs now, talk about how much I noticed 1 billion during my workout. Green tea today. I absolutely love a green tea. Say it in every video, don't I? But let's talk about 1 billion. So how was the projection of 1 billion during my workout? Didn't notice it once. Haven't noticed it since I've stopped. Didn't notice it going to the toilet. It had no performance. It's the smell, again, as I touched upon with Savage the other day, the smell is bang on. Smells exactly like 1 million. but it's almost so weak that I don't even think it can be a top-up spray. This should be a scent that with the notes that are in this, I kind of understood a little bit more with Dior Sauvage being a bit more of a freshie, that maybe you may not get that same performance. But this has got notes in it that can be strong. Even if they're synthetic, they can be strong. And this one's really tame, really, really tame. So I'm not expecting this to fill a room at all. Didn't help me through my run, even though I did feel okay in the end. So yeah, fingers crossed we're going to get slightly better projection though than I give it credit for. So yeah, I'll finish this drink, we'll head upstairs and we'll give our score overall. So up we go. It's time to see if we can detect any of 1 billion in my room. I am not expecting anything here. I can't smell it if I come up the stairs, but oh, it's there, but it's so faint. It's in that 5 to 10% range, I would say. It's that cinnamon that's just holding it together here. But again, I don't think cinnamon's one of those notes where it's going to really stick. Put it this way, if I was using this as a room spray to mask a bad smell, we've got a smell of like a dead mouse downstairs in a minute. Yes, that sounds horrible. This isn't going to do the job. This isn't going to last. It's not going to cut through that sort of foul smell. It's not going to be an odour protector. I'm going to give it a 2 out of 10 just because I can notice it ever so slightly. But yeah, this is not one to get really even as a top-up spray in my opinion in terms of that projection. But look, it'll last you probably if you walked back from the gym, if you just want something coming out of the shower, that's where I feel this is going to be best used. But I don't even know at the moment if it can really complement or, be the companion to the original 1 million as a top-up spray. It's not that good. But what we're going to do now, we are going to head to the gym. We'll talk about compliment factor on the way. Do I think if someone did catch a scent of this, catch a whiff of it, they'll still say nice things? Well, the wind has certainly picked up since I started my run this morning. But how would that help in terms of compliment factor? Do I think 1 billion is a compliment getting sent, and maybe a breezy day like this could mean you'd catch it despite its poor projection? Well, look, at the end of the day, it is copying a very popular scent, or a very popular scent around 5-10 years ago. You don't smell as many people smelling a pack of around 1 million now. And look, I think that's just, unfortunately, these brands like Fragrance Kingdom and all these other ones that have cloned it over the years, it's the victim of its own success. You smelt it everywhere. I used to smell it on a daily occurrence, to be honest with you, whether that was even at the gym or just, at work or wherever. You always could catch someone who was in their sort of early 20s wearing this smell, and I think you just get sick of it, don't you? So even if you eat like your favourite food every day, you start to not enjoy it as much, and that's just kind of how I felt with this fragrance. And yeah, this one I think ultimately though falls down not so much on the scent, but because of its performance. It's going to barely be noticed. Even with this breeze at the minute, it's not really kicking off my skin. It is there, but it's very faint, and yeah, it's just not really going to get noticed. Do I still think that 1 million DNA can get you compliments? Yeah, but I think personally for myself, someone who's, pushing into 30s now, I think I've almost outgrown it a little bit. I still think a younger person, early 20s, who likes those things like clubbing, I still think it's always going to work in those situations. It's not like you can't buy the original still. It's going to be around, I think, forever, just because it is a classic scent. And it will get you compliments. That's why it was so popular originally. But with this one, it's just more a case of whether it will be noticed, and if you're that sort of person that wants to use it in those situations. I still wouldn't want to use this one on a hot summer's day. I still wouldn't want to wear this one at the office or for interviews or, just any sort of formal events. So it sometimes does limit where you may potentially be able to wear it. And the occasions you would want to wear it would be those situations where you want it to really cut through a crowd and be brash, be confident. And it just isn't that scent, this 1 billion fragrance. So for that reason, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. Again, the scent DNA has been proven to get compliments, so obviously that's why it gets a relatively good score still. It's just not going to cut through the cold in the situations where you want to use it. But of course, if we do get into the gym today where it's a little bit more wearable than the original 1 million would be, I'll bump it up to a 10. Gym workout done. I've had my shower and it's actually gone over 3 hours since I applied the fragrance. Now it's about 25 past 12, so it's time to give it a smell. Has 1 billion survived that workout, the walk and the shower? Do you know, I have to say it's done better than actually the Savage one did. It's probably about sort of 20 to 30% as strong as when I applied it a few hours ago, which I'm quite surprised. It's funny, the last 2 days when I've actually, not applied the fragrance but had a shower after, it's almost brought them out a bit more. And I think sometimes it's almost like the shower's acting as sweat, and it's like getting that fragrance that's locked in your pores out a bit more, because it honestly feels stronger than when actually I was kind of in the gym doing my workout, to be honest, on the treadmill. So better than I thought, but would I still think, oh yeah, the longevity is amazing on this? No, and I don't think it's still better than a lot of fragrances that have cloned 1 million over the years that you can just Google and find so many. So I still haven't particularly changed my opinion on this, but the longevity has done better than I thought. 20 to 30% is strong. I still think I'm going to be able to smell it on my arm in a few more hours' time, but it would have pretty much gone then, and it is very much a skin scent now. Nobody in your scent bubble is going to notice unless they're literally digging their nose into your neck or something. So I'm going to give this one, the longevity, go right down the middle, 5 out of 10. For the price of the fragrance, it's probably just about done what it should do. And yeah, as I said, I do need to remember this is a mist as well. It's not an actual fragrance, but the fact you can just buy these fragrances for a similar price, the clones, the cheap clones of it, I would still say get those, because the longevity, if you do like this scent DNA, is definitely strong. But what we're going to do now, we're going to head back, I'll count up all the scores, and yeah, I'll give my overall thoughts on 1 billion. Back, yes, we are finally back. It is 1:27. I have done 42,238 steps, all while wearing today Fragrance Kingdom's 1 billion. Yes, this big 250ml plastic bottle. So, what was the overall score it got based on the 5 rounds we looked at? Hasn't done very well. 23.5 out of 50. That may be my lowest ever score, but it's not the scent that's bad, it's just the performance here for me really lets this one down. It just doesn't have any staying power about it. Everything about it feels cheap, and it is just that. It's just cheap. And that is, I suppose, fine, but when there's so many clones of this out there, it needs to do something else. And what I kind of find with these workouts that I do, obviously I left running this morning at 7 o'clock. It's a long time. You see, I have my headphones in normally, so I listen to podcasts to try and almost keep myself going because it's a long workout. And normally the fragrance is almost that other distraction I have, and it almost comes on the journey with you, essentially. I'll listen to something that's a podcast for 2 hours because I know that's going to be that set duration. That's going to get me through my run. The fragrance didn't do that today. I almost forgot it was on. Almost, to be honest with you, it almost felt like I wasn't doing a review today, and that made it hard to sort of motivate myself. This hasn't got any character about it, no body about it, and yeah, I don't recommend it. I'll be honest with you. There's nothing wrong with the scent, but go and get it though. If you want 1 million, go and get the original, or in another case, go and get a clone from a brand like the Essence or wherever you can find them, because there's more out there that will definitely perform better than this. But the Scent DNA, that they've replicated the smell very well, and yeah, I mean that's probably the best thing I can say about it. It's pleasant. I still appreciate 1 million. I think the other issue I probably have is I don't love 1 million. I've never really loved 1 million. But for a younger person, again, someone who's not really into fragrances, that you're not going to go wrong with that, are you? If someone who never bought a fragrance themselves before, just get them this. It's absolutely fine, isn't it? But yeah, if you're someone who's into your fragrances, I definitely don't recommend this one. But yeah, there we go. I'll give it back to my brother. He can keep this one, and he'll be happy because it means I won't waste any more of his. But yeah, hope you've enjoyed this one today. Be another review coming out soon. So yeah, hope you'll join me for that one. Thanks for watching. Catch you later.